Okay, I've just started the stream, so we can start. I'll share my screen in a minute. Give me a second, I just need to show you what I see. Here we go. We'll need browser, we'll need a console. I think it's big enough now. I'll switch off night shift. Okay, so today's lecture will be about controllers and routes. And you probably heard about MVC architecture, and well, we usually say that our Rails apps use MVC or based using MVC architecture, and MVC means model view controller. And so today we will talk about controllers. That's like the third part in this MVC abbreviation. We will have a lot of live demo today. Well, basically the whole my lecture will be based on a live demo. I'll create an app and we will go through it, exploring, adding new routes, adding new controllers, and we'll learn how they work and what they do, why do we need them. And just like to quickly introduce you to controllers. We need controllers to well, basically all the requests to our Rails app come to controller, and then our controller may make additional requests to database, may render some views, may trigger some redirects, and yeah, so basically request come to a controller form a response and send it back to browser. So let's start. Let's create a new app. I'm creating a new app, and I'll like through live demo I will add new roads and will show you how they work. Yeah, let's wait for bundle install because we will need our Rails app ready for making some console commands and for rendering some views. Okay, while it's installing, let's quickly go through the Rails app. I guess you probably created Rails apps, right? So you're probably a bit familiar with controllers, with models, with views, and with roads, right? If not, just tell me. Okay, so all our setup for roads stays in config roads RB file, and when we just created our Rails app, it's like empty file, almost empty file. There is no roads here. And like we can add new roads, and in order to add new road to our Rails app, there are multiple ways, but let's start from something very simple. For example, we may use a special method called get, and then we pass a name for our road to this method get. For example, let's say we will need a list. We will need orders. For example, we build some shop application, right? And we probably will need a page with our orders, right? If we create an order, then we want to see all orders we created. So we will have orders page. Like in browser, it will look something like this: localhost, our default port, orders. If we type, of course, it's an error because our app is not started. But if we want to type orders in our browser, we need to name our road appropriately. For example, let's name it orders. But if we just type get orders, it doesn't say us what will our app do when a user type orders in our in their browser, right? So we probably need to say to our app what to do when someone tries to pull orders from our app, and we may say that our orders road should go to the to a controller, right? To a controller, and yeah, I'm just I'm waiting for GEMS to install. We want our orders road go to a controller, and let's call let's say we will name our controller appropriately. For example, we will name it orders controller. Orders. Sorry, it's something. Yeah. Orders all. Right. Basically, we say if someone if someone goes to the orders path in their browser, we pass our request to orders controller method all. That's like kind of, we call DSL for defining roads. Let's create this controller, and we have a special naming convention for our controllers. If we say that our controller called orders, we need to create a file called orders controller. There are multiple ways to create this file. Let's just create it by our hands. Orders control .rb. So basically, we don't need to define a full path to our file with controller. Rails will do it automatically. We just need to name our file appropriately. If we say it's orders, then file called orders underscore controller, and all controllers lay in app controllers folder. Basically, our controller is just a Ruby class. We inherited from well, it's required to inherit it from application controller or Rails-based controller. Don't pay too much attention for inheritance. I'll say something about it a bit later. And we specified that our request should go to all method. So let's define this all method. And yeah, we just created a simple orders controller with single method called all, and we want to return something from this method, right? When user goes to /orders in their browser, we want to show to user something. Let's show them like some text. For example, hello world. Let's start our application. Okay, it started. Let's check that our road works. I'll go to my app. I hope you see that I typed orders in my address bar, and I just get an error. All dependencies. Give me a second. I'll double check. Sorry, give me a second. I don't know, it tries to load again our own version of GM SQLite. I don't need models for now. Fuck. Yeah, sorry. I need let's reinstall our gems. If it goes wrong, I'll just recreate our app, because, well, some weird error not related to controllers, but I don't know, it somehow pulls the wrong version of a gem. At least the error says this, used to say this. Sometimes people advocate to use Docker and run application in Docker in order not to have issues like this. If you run an application in Docker container, then well, all developers run them like in a similar or the same environment, and theoretically we don't have problems like this. Don't want to install Nakagi. Well, it still installs. Yeah. Yeah, let me quickly repeat. So our controllers receive requests from users or from browsers and do different stuff. For example, we may pull some data from database. We may I don't know, transform this data, create new entities in database, and then like as a final thing we could render a view. For example, right now here I render simple text. It's just a string, but we sometimes need something more complicated to render an HTML, and we may render a view. Render a view here, or as other option we may render nothing but redirect user to somewhere. For example, we may redirect our user to Google.com if you want to, if we need to for some reason. That's what controllers do. They get a request, do something and then form a response and send it back to browser. In our demo case, we form a very simple response with just a one string. Okay. Spring. I removed Bootsnap gem, but we somewhere require it in settings. I don't want to search for it, so I just added it back, and let's see if it will work out for us. No way. Fucking. Yeah, let me quickly recreate the app from scratch. I'll drop it. Controllers demo. Help. Space. Else new SQL controllers. I don't need tests. I don't need JavaScript. I don't need Spring. Again, bundle install. Bin Rails SCD controllers demo. Sorry, I say that I want to use Postgres in my app because SQLite didn't work out, but well, it still doesn't work for some reason. SQL. Video services. Okay, give me a second. Yeah, let's wait for a minute. I'll start a Postgres and connect our Rails app to it. Otherwise, I don't want to start. Okay, let me quickly create our road again. Get orders to orders all, for example, and we up controllers orders controller .rb. I just do what I did previously and removed. It's not that easy to disable database in our Rails app. Waiting for database to start. Okay, while it's starting, let me quickly tell you something about roads, right? For now, I added just one road, get orders. We as well could use other verbs instead of get. For example, we may use post, another, like the second famous verb in HTTP requests. And for example, we could use also we could use any name for this route we want. For example, create order and route it to to the same controller. For example, orders create, right? And there are other verbs like put, edit, or update order to orders, update, for example, right? There is a delete, delete verb in HTTP protocol. So we basically, when we just type an address in our browser, browser sends GET request to our server, to our app. We may make our browser to send other requests, not only GET, but for example POST. In order to do this, we create a form on our page and specify that we like clearly say our browser to send this form as a POST request, not as GET request. I'll demo it like in a minute. Order delete, something like this. Something like this. Okay. Well, something clearly wrong with my computer today. Docker expose port. Docker run blah 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 blah. Okay, I don't know, it doesn't work. I need some time to debug. Let's not waste our time here. Let me quickly go through our roads. I'll probably recreate our app one more time, and if it won't work, I don't know. We won't spend our time here on it because we already spent too much. Oh. Minus O minus C minus Rails new minus J minus S minus T skip Spring minus C Robitsa. One more time. I skipped active record, so 0 Robitsa min Rails S. Okay, here we go. Our app just started, so let me quickly copy what we had. Config routes, Robitsa config routes, spare app controllers, controller, Robitsa app controllers. Okay, config routes, config app controllers, orders controller. Okay, here we go. Let's quickly check that our orders route works. Blah blah blah. Plain. Okay, yeah, so it works like this. So we have we just followed our orders route. It's okay. I told you that we can use other verbs except of get and route them to different methods to our controller, or we may even route them to the different controllers. I just routed them to the single orders controller, but we may like use any controller we want to or we need to. Right now I intentionally showed you that we could use any name for our routes, but well, usually we don't do this. We follow some kind of a convention in our Rails apps. For example, when we want to get all routes from our app, we name our route with a plural noun for entity we want to pull. For example, if we pull orders, we name it like orders. And usually for all, if we request all entities, we don't use method, or we don't use method all. By convention, we use method index. We not only want to pull all orders, we want to pull some specific orders with some specific order with some ID, right? For this, we use something like orders ID, something like this. Okay, we are ready. Let me quickly change index plain all orders, order ID to orders show. We need to pull all orders, but we also want to pull some more information about some specific order, right? For this purpose, we create a separate order, separate route, just for this single order entity, and we wrote it to the show method of orders controller. Let's quickly add this show method. Render plain some specific order. Here we go. We can request all orders, but if we specify an ID of particular order we want to fetch from our app, we can do this, and then our request will go to the another method in our controller. It says there is no route orders 42. Get orders ID. Orders show. It doesn't matter. I don't use it right now, right? Oh yeah. So you are right. I don't use it. So, but there were a mistake, and it tries to like go through all the routes and point them to some controllers. Okay, yeah, so we may pull some specific route, then we may want to I don't know, upgrade our route. For example, put orders ID. Well, for example, we want to update our order, right? We don't want to update it using get method, but rather we would use put method. And as I showed previously, we may use something like this: update order to orders update. We can do something like this, but well, in Rails we usually don't do this. By convention, we use other routes. Usually we do it like this: orders ID. You can notice that I use the same name for two routes. It's okay as long as we use different verbs. For example, if our browser will send a GET request to this path, it will go to the show method. If browser will send a PUT request, it will go to the update method. And yeah, we can continue adding other routes, but let's stop it here. And I want to show you a good command line command which will allow us to show to get all the routes we have in our app. We may type bin rails routes, and we can see that our app right now has 3 different routes, like get orders ID, put orders ID. Well, we often use this command. As you noticed, right, we want to do many different things with our orders. We want to show all orders, we want to be able to pull one particular order, we want to be able to update them, we want to be able to delete them, and like, and so on. Many different methods. And if we really need to do so many actions with one entity, we may use a special DSL for this. We don't need to specify so many routers using so many lines in our route RB file. We may use a special method called resources, and just say that we want to have resourceful routes for our orders. And yeah, we add just one line, and this one line generates, I don't know, many 5 or 6 different routes for us. Let's see how it works. We will see it using binrails routes command. Yeah, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 routes. One line generates 8 routes for us. And here we use some conventions also. For example, if we say we have resources orders, then it generates routes to like route them to our orders controller. So when we specify resources orders, it requires us to create orders controller, otherwise it won't work. We may notice that we now have orders for like pulling all the orders, all the entities. We have a post method to the same path. We use this post method to create our orders, our entities. We also have some we also have orders new path. Well, by convention, when we type orders new, we want to see a form which like ask us some details about order we want to create. So this route usually in Rails apps render a form. And this form, when I click on a button, on submit button of this form, usually our post request goes to orders. We also has get another get request to orders ID edit. This route by convention in Rails usually renders a form to edit one entity, particular entity with specified ID. For example, if I type orders /42/edit in my browser, I want to see a form to change my order with ID 42. Something like this. Then we have a separate route to pull single entity, single order. I already showed it to you, orders ID. We have two very similar routes with different verbs, patch and put. Well, for now, I guess we should use patch. It's like more modern version. These routes we use for updating our orders. For example, if we send a patch request to orders /42 path, we want the Rails app to update order with ID 42. And we also have a delete route. So if we send a delete request to orders /42, we want to order with ID 42 to be deleted. So, like, we use resources DSL very often. Our resources DSL can receive some parameters. For example, we don't need to I don't know, we don't need to see all orders. We want only to create them, see them, and delete them. We don't need to modify our orders, for example. We don't want users to modify our orders. We may specify that we only need to show route, I don't know, they'll create create and delete. Destroy. Bin Rails roads. Let's see, we should only have 3. Yeah, now we have only 3 needed roads for create, for showing an order, and destroying them. This is very powerful DSL. I'll send you a link to a documentation for this resources road. Okay, as you probably noticed, well, let's use this for now. Let's use only show road for now. As you probably noticed, we have I don't know, we have a special keyword here in our roads called ID, right? What does it mean when we type 2 dots ID? It means that this ID, whatever comes after order slash, goes as a parameter called ID. Let me demo it to you. For example, we have this road slash order slash ID. We have a controller with show method, and which like renders plain some specific order. Let's see that it works. Yeah, some specific order. So as I said, everything that goes after the slash goes to our controller as a param with name ID. What does it mean? It means that in our controller we have a special, I don't know, object or special method called params. Well, basically this params, this object is kind of a hash. We can use it as a hash. And in order to get our ID param, we like address it like this. So in order to demo it, let's do it order ID equal, let's show it like this, params ID, right? Yeah, here we go. I typed 42, it goes here. I type 8, and we may type whatever we want as ID. Some ID here. We may type some string. We could use dashes, but we also can use underscores, and it all will go to the to our controller as params ID. Yeah, that's how we use params. We can use parameterized roads. Let me show you how, well, the other way we could pass params to our controllers. For example, we have show action, and let's say we need index action, right? Def index render plain all orders. All orders. We don't have a special keyword here for our orders road, but we still can pass some params to this action, to this controller. How we can do this? We just use I don't know, keyword. We just use a special query in our address string. We type a question mark after our address, and I don't know, you probably have seen it in different URLs on different websites. For example, filter, we could use filter equal For example, we want to request only new orders. And if we type our params like this, in our controller we will have filter. We will have this filter param in our controller, right? Let's check it. Filter new. Again, we can type whatever we want for this params. That's how we may pass params from our browser to our controller. We may like use special keyword in like route name, and also we can pass it via address bar using I don't know, query string. I don't know the appropriate name for this, but well, let's call it query string. We may also pass a multiple params to our controller, also using ampersand, and then, for example, sort, something like this. Sort sort. Yeah, something like this. Or again, we may pass whatever we want here. That's how we pass params to our controllers. That's probably it for params. Well, params may be a little bit more complicated than I just showed you. For example, we may pass like nested params to our controller. For example, filter new, right? For example, we want to have let me filter filter new, right? But what if we want to have filter not as string but as an object? We can do this using a special syntax. For example, we could use square braces in our query string and type it something like this: filter time new, and as a second param we could use filter sort ascending, for example. So basically our params filter now is not just string but is a nested hash with two keys. First key is time, the second key is sort, and like we pass it, we form it using square braces in our address bar. Yeah, okay, yes, okay. It looks like this. Question mark, then filter, square braces, time, ampersand, filter, square braces, sort, and it comes as an object, which looks like this. We also may send some we may send array as a param. How to do this? I'll type it here. For example, let's say it's not filter. Let's say it's ID. For example, we want to request all orders with listed ID. For example, we want to show order with ID 1, then ID I don't know 8, and ID 42. Because it's not filter, it's now IDS. So that's how we can. This would be S here. That's how we can pass array as a param. Yeah, again, we use square bracket for this, but we don't specify the name for the name as we did it previously, right? It's like question mark ID square brackets equal 1, then ampersand, blah blah blah, ampersand, and the next one. Okay. Okay. Let's say we need to have a form for we need to be able to create a new order. Let's create a separate method for this. I call it methods, but in Rails app we call all the methods in our controller class, we call them actions. So now I'm creating a new action called new.